Hello there, my name is Ismail. Welcome to another Blender tutorial. This time we're going to be looking at how to create a Christmas tree in Blender. Yeah, Blender 2.8. So let's get started. By the way, if you want to get any of these models that I make, you can find them on my CG Twitter account. You will find the links in the description. So what I did is I started by making the leaf, or just making the leaf, because we are going to be using an image texture with a transparency or without any background. So this is the texture we're going to be using, and we are going to apply it as the texture to our leaf. So the leaf is just a plane with a few edge loops, just to give it some kind of details. So yeah, and now I go to the shading tab to add the materials and textures. So I just add an image texture and then apply the image to that shader. So I'm just rotating it just to reorient that leaf, so that the point of origin is at the end, is at one end. And so I'm also using the transparency shader and mixing it with the principal shader. So the alpha channel from the image texture will be used as the factor in the mix shader to mix between the transparency shader and the principal shader, so that in areas where we don't have anything, we don't see the transparency shader takes over, and in areas where there is the image texture, the principal shader takes over, and it will have the color value from the image texture. So here I'm just making a few variations of the leaf, and so you can see now I switched to Blender Cycles, because I think Blender, the Eevee render, for some reason does not render the alpha channel. So yeah, just making a few variations of the relief. So what I did is I duplicated the plane in edit mode and then rotated it 90 degrees to get so that when the camera is viewing these leaves from any direction, it will still see a complete three-dimensional leaf, instead of if it was a plane and the camera was perpendicular to, I think, is it perpendicular, or yeah, if it was looking at it directly at certain angles, if you just have a plane, it would just look like a flat surface. But if you have that kind of cross hair design of the leaf, any angle you look at that leaf, you will be looking at something in 3 dimensions. Yeah, so here I'm just creating this kind of stem, is it the actual tree trunk that supports the branches and everything. This is very simple. We just added a circle mesh and then extruded it up while making it smaller at the top, at the peak, just to give it that shape of a tree. And so yeah, and now I think we can start working on the branches. So at first I wanted to make the branch connected to the tree trunk, but I realized I needed to add, because we're going to be using a particle system to generate to attach the leaves onto those branches. So, and I didn't want to do any weight painting, so I separated that branch from the main trunk. So yeah, and that's what I'm doing here. I'm just adding a few smaller branches onto the bigger branches. By the way, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe also for more content like this. So yeah, just shaping the branches a bit more, scaling it down. So what I did is add these leaves into a collection, which is like a group in previous Blender versions, but now they're being called collections. So you create a new collection, and we'll be using that as the render object in the particle systems. So I also switched on random colors just to differentiate between different objects in the viewport. So here I'm just moving the origin to the end of the branch so that it's easy to place and rotate around the main trunk. So I've added a hair particle system and just changing a few values here so that I can reorient these hairs to look like how you would expect the leaves to look. So we'll be changing these hairs into leaves that we created there in our collection or group. So we change the render object to group to collection, and you can see now we have that branch filled with leaves. So you just have to play around with different settings to get what you want, and yeah. But the major concept was you create the leaf. You begin with the leaf, the design of the leaf, and then you create the branches, and so you create variations of the branches, and you also create variations of the leaf if you want to be that detailed. But 2 or 3 leaves can be good enough, as long as you're not going to take too close-up shots. And the particle system already is very good at randomizing things that you won't see a lot of repetition in your renders. So it's okay if to have 2 or 3 variations in the leaf, and I don't think I used any variations in the branches. I just used the same branch because it was not going to be even visible in the final renders. I'm just setting up some basic lighting so that I see how the tree comes out. Also, another thing to note is that because you're going to be using a particle system, you want to limit the number of polygons for the leaves you're going to make. You're going to use. If you use too many polygons on your leaf, you're going to end up with a lot of particles with a lot of polygons, which is going to slow down your render. So here I'm just duplicating the branch and rotating it around, rotating the duplicates to make that tree, to get the shape of the tree we want, the Christmas tree we want. So I noticed that the viewport was slowing down quite a bit, so I reduced the particle count, and then just increased the size of the leaves because it wasn't. There's a lot going on the tree that reducing the particle system wouldn't really affect that much. So here, because the tree was too big in the scene, I needed to increase the camera clipping so that we can see everything from the camera. So I think in part 2 we'll be adding some decorations and maybe a few gifts down there. Yeah, and but for now I'll be giving this a render, and you should be able to see it. So if you're not satisfied with that, with how the tree looks, you can just go back in, change the branches around, or the particle systems. You can also go back to the leaves and edit them a bit, If you want to change the actual leaf, the texture of the leaf, you can also go and edit that. It will still update on the entire tree. That's the cool thing about this way of doing things. But it's almost procedures, because you can always go back and change it that easily. Yeah, so I don't think there is anything that I need to explain further. It's just changing a few settings to get it to look the way I want it to look, and adding materials to the branches, and changing their placement. But for the most part, that's it. So I'll let you watch that. And yeah, thank you. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.